Hello everyone and welcome to my very next episode of Can This Deck Make It Into Duel Links? Alright, so let's get started with this. First things first, I would like to note that today we're talking about the Madolche archetype. This cute little archetype that is all like based on sweets and whatnot. Like it's really cool. I really like this archetype a lot. But we actually already have a lot of these cards in Duel Links. We already have powerhouses like the Gelato, we got Mangeline, and even Hook Kick in the game. However, we are still missing some of the support for this archetype. And you might be wondering, why am I talking about the Madolche archetype when we already have so many cards in it? Two reasons. One, yes, the amount of cards that we are missing from the deck are missing the power cards of the deck. Example will be like a Madolche Angeli, we're still missing that. We're missing a lot of the ranked monsters, as well as the new girl in town, Pettingudusur, or I don't know how you pronounce this, Pettingudusur? I have no idea. These Madolche cards are all weird and janky. But in any case, that's one reason why I want to talk about this deck. But the other one is because this is an XYZ archetype. All their boss monsters from the extra deck are XYZ, except for the Link monster, which we're never probably gonna get in Duel Links until Links come out. But there are a lot of them here, 3 in particular, and more importantly, Queen Tiramisu. This card is being renowned as being probably one of the strongest boss monster in Yugioh history. And I'll talk about that once we get into breaking her down. But just know that the Madolche rank monsters are really strong. And as it's going to be part of my video, I'm going to break down each card individually to just kind of explain to you what the Madolche archetype does. However, for this video, because there's quite a lot of them, I am not going to talk about the cards that don't see much play in the TCG and are very irrelevant to the overall Madolche strategy, like because they have a lot of little cards here and there that just don't do anything. But I am going to briefly talk about the cards that are already in Duel Links, and I'm going to more in-depthly talk about the cards that are not in Duel Links. So let's just go ahead and get started here. So first thing first, we'll talk about Madolche Pudding Success. So this card actually going to be a little bit of a shout out here because this is probably going to be one of the more important cards in the Madolche strategy. Because it's kind of interesting to think about. Because the Madolche strategy, a lot of it kind of feels like you want Pudding Sets to be a part of the main focus. Since there are a lot of cards like the XYZ monster, like Chocolamo for example, that only triggers when you have Madolche Pudding Sets as an XC material. And there's a bunch of trap cards that also benefit from having Pudding Sets on the field. Like for example, let me see if I can find here. I think it's not walls, it's is it this one right here? Yeah, this one right here. Like for example, Madolche Tea Break, you know, you can, when a spell tracker is activated and you have no monster in your graveyard, you can negate the activation, and then you do return to the hand, and then if you control a fetch Pudding Set, you could destroy a card your opponent controls, you know. There's cards like that, and even Madolche Knights that do very similar things with if you have Madolche Pudding Sets on the field. But what does she actually do, you know? Like, she doesn't really do much. And another note here, all the Madolches have the exact same effect. So I'm not going to keep repeating this whenever I'm talking about the other ones. It is that if this card in your possession is destroyed by an opponent card, by battle or card effect, and sent to your graveyard, you can shuffle this card into the deck. All the Madolche's playstyle surround this motion of having cards in your graveyard to be used as resource, or when they get sent to the graveyard because they got destroyed, they get shuffled back into the deck. And both of these sort of situations you really want to use those while playing Madolches. And I mean, it all will make sense if you don't know the whole archetype at all, like once you get into the more like all the good cards I want to talk about. So all the Madolche have that exact same effect. Remember, when they get, you know, sent to the graveyard by opponent's card, they get shuffled back into the deck. So again, what does Pudding Sets do? So while you have no monsters in your graveyard, this card gains 800 attack and defense, and after damage calculation, when this card battles an opponent monster, you could target a card your opponent controls, and then you could destroy that card. Pudding Sets here, being a level 5, it's a little hard to come out into the field. So a lot of the time you are trying to cheese it out with all of the special summoning effects the deck have, because this deck actually has a lot of those special summon effects. Madolche being a combo heavy strategy, you essentially want to just spam the board with a bunch of monsters and go into a bunch of ranks or links or whatever you wish to go into. And Princess here is not really part of any main strategy, but it is used in the more modern version of the Madolche because she is Princess. Not because of her effect or because she's a level 5, but because she is Madolche Princess. Literally the only reason why you play her. And most decks play her at 1 too. But in any case, that's Princess there for us. Next, I want to talk about Mesa Gelato. So Mesa Gelato is another card that's overrun in Duel Links that has the effect when you special summon while you control a beast Madolche monster, you get to search a spell or trap card from the deck. And that's very, very powerful, obviously, because being able to search is always good, but also because of how easy it is for this guy to be summoned onto the field through a special summon. Because all of the beast Madolche monsters have effects that will special summon them. Special summon other Madolche, my bad. Like, for example, Mewfili here could just special summon from the hand, and Hooka, you could banish a monster from the graveyard to special summon a Madolche from the deck. Pretty cool, so usually you will never miss the timing on this guy. There will be a few times where you draw into him, which would suck, but for the most part, you really just want to use him to be special summon, so then you can search a spell or trap. Next, I want to talk about Pitting Susur. So this is definitely the newest card in the Madolche archetype. I'm pretty sure either this or Salon. No, it might be Salon, might be the newer card. Pitting Susur is a newer monster. There we go. And she definitely fixes a lot of the issues that Madolche had, and are still having, I should say, in the TCG. And that is, being disrupted through, any sort of interruption. But regardless, Pitting Susur here has two really good effects that really speeds the strategy of the Madolche cards. The first one is that if this card is in your possession and destroyed by, okay, no, that's the whole Madolche stuff. So this card, if you have no monsters in your graveyard, you get to special summon this card from the hand. Being a level 4 is already good, because that way you can go into your rank 4s. But then the second effect is the one that you really want to trigger. It is that if this card is special summon, you get to special summon a Madolche monster from your hand or deck, except Pitting Susur. And if you do, you can reduce the level by 1. Also, you cannot special summon a monster for the rest of the turn, except Madolche monsters. So, that second clause of not being able to special summon any other monster except Madolches really hurts the deck a lot, because this deck already combos really hard. It's able to split a lot of ranks into the board or links if you really wanted to, but because you get locked into Madolche monsters, really makes the deck play outside of what it wants to do. But being able to special summon a Madolche from the deck and reducing the level by 1, you might be thinking, okay, what card can I utilize that will take advantage of that effect, reducing the level by 1 and then special summoning onto the field. And truth to be told, all the Madolche monsters, they're all either level 3 or 4. So normally the level 4s will be a good target, because then you can make them level 3 to go into rank 3s. But in that sense, it wouldn't work that well, because there's no rank 3 Madolche XC monster. They're all rank 4. But luckily for us, we have Princess, which this card was obviously made to summon her, because then she goes from being a level 5 to a level 4, and because Pitting Susur here is already level 4, you get to make easy rank 4s. So that's pretty much the reason why she exists, just to summon Princess in order to make her rank 4. Really solid card, and definitely you play 3 of in any Madolche deck. Next we got Mangeline, already in Duel Links. Has a simple effect that when it's normal summon, you get to add a Madolche monster from the deck. It is the Stratos of the deck. Really good card, and just a searcher, like nothing more to say about it. It's really good. Next we got Madolche Angeli, and this card is not in Duel Links, but when Madolche were first introduced, they did not have a card like Angeli. Angeli was actually added near the end of the XYZ era in Prime of Origins, if I remember the pack correctly. And this card really took Madolches to a whole new level, because before they were always struggling in order to have the right monsters on the field, or to have extra monsters on the field in order for them to go into their rank 4s or even rank 3s. They just did not have that power of let's say special summoning as they do today. However, Angeli essentially acts as a Lone Fire Blossom for the deck. What is a Lone Fire Blossom? Well, Angeli has the effect that if she's on the field, you get to tribute her to then special summon a Madolche from the deck. That is what we call a lone fire effect, when you tribute a monster on the field to then summon one from the deck. And the reason why this is really good is because it actually makes modern Madolche decks have a 1-card combo with just a single Angeli being able to tribute herself, go into the graveyard to go into Hoodcake, to then banish the Angeli to summon another card from the deck. I'll get into the combo later, but Angeli really rose the power level of the Madolche archetype to a whole new levels. It actually made the deck very playable and have 2-card easy combo to break your opponent's board, as well as to do a lot of damage. And again, we'll talk about those combos when we get to that section of the video. The next card I want to talk about is Hoodcake, another important card in the Madolche archetype. So Hoodcake, simple effect, you get to target a monster in your graveyard, any monster, doesn't have to be Madolche, banish that target, and then you get to special summon a Madolche from the deck. This card, just letting you have extra value on the field, extra bodies, makes it so you are able to always go into like rank 3s or rank 4s depending on what you have on your field. It also allows you to trigger the effects of Message Gelato, so then you can search a spell or trap card from the deck. Really good card. And again, there's this 2-card combo with Mewfili and Angeli that really takes advantage of Hoodcake's ability to banish and special. So that's really strong for the Madolche archetype. Next, let's talk about Mewfili. So Mewfili here, simple effect, when it's normal summon, you get to special summon a Madolche from the hand onto the field. Very simple, nothing more you really gotta talk about it. It just allows you to have extra bodies onto the board. It makes like a rank 3 if you have Hoodcake in your hand with Mewfili, or it also allows you to trigger your Message Gelato effect if you have just the Mewfili and your Message Gelato at the very least. But the reason why it is so strong and notable is because you want to use it in combination with cards like Angeli in order to get this combo off during your turn. Next, let's talk about the XYZ cards, and here we're gonna, because they're all gonna be new, we're just gonna take it slow and kind of like talk over what they do. So first we have Madolche Princess Chocolate a la Mode. So this card requires 2 level 5 Earth Monster. You're never gonna use 2 level 5 Earth Monsters because there's another way you can summon this card. And that is that you can also XYZ summon this card by using a rank 4 or lower Madolche XYZ monster you control as the material. And then you transfer those materials onto this card. So what does this card do? Once per turn, you can target 1 Madolche card in your graveyard, shuffle it into your deck. And then while this card has Madolche Princess as material, when a Madolche monster card in your graveyard is shuffled back into the main deck, except during the damage step, you can detach 1 material from this card to then special summon 1 Madolche monster from your deck in attack position or in face and defense position. So in modern Madolche builds, this is a very powerful card that allows you to extend your combos. Right now, you could just take a look at this, and a lot of people when this card first came out were having a lot of issues with it because it wasn't very easy to put Madolche Princess underneath this card as material, because Chocolate a la Mode came first before a card like Princessur came into the game. So a lot of people just did not know how to make Madolche Princess be an attachable material for Chocolate a la Mode, especially because you require 2 level 5 Earth Monsters. The only way you can probably do it is by having double Princess as its material. But now that we have the newer girl, Princessur, it's a lot easier to go into Chocolate a la Mode by ranking into one of the previous Madolche monsters with her effect to make Princess level 4, to then go into Chocolate a la Mode on top of it. So yes, Princess Chocolate a la Mode is very powerful also because by using her effect, you're able to special summon 1 from the deck. You know, I don't have to tell you how powerful that is, but just being able to have more bodies onto the board, really good stuff. Now, I kind of want to save Tiramisu for the end here because she's actually worth talking a lot about. So I'm going to talk about Tishir Glassophilia. I'm so bad with these names. But anyways, so this card requires 2 level 4 Madolche monsters. So it's not generic like our Chocolate a la Mode. But what it does is that it has a quick effect that you can detach one material from this card to then target a Madolche monster you control, and then that face-up monster is unaffected by monster's effect except its own. And if a Madolche card is sent to the graveyard while this card is in the field, except during damage step, you can shuffle up to 2 cards from the graveyard into the deck. and then you can only use each effect once per turn, or each effect once per turn. So Glass of Fear has an interesting role. It is capable of detaching and making a monster be unaffected by other monster effect, which is really cool, except its own. And the whole shuffle back in 2 cards from the graveyard to the deck, it's a little, it's a little iffy. It does combine really well in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! In case you have hand traps in your graveyard, you can return those into the deck. So there's a lot of synergy with a lot of cards you want to recycle back into the deck, because it doesn't just target Madolche monsters, it targets any 2 cards. But the reason why this card is played currently in the Madolche archetype is because it serves as a way to detach a Madolche monster. Because as I'll explain in the combos later in the video, you really want to have at the very minimum 1 Madolche monster in your graveyard to get combos going. So we're going to start talking about her until we get into the combo section of the video. But now let's talk about Queen Tiramisu. So Queen Tiramisu, like I mentioned earlier, it is probably one of the strongest boss monsters ever created in Yu-Gi-Oh! History. It requires 2 level 4 Madolche monsters, so you can only play her in Madolches. And then once per turn, you can detach 1 material from this card to target 2 Madolche monsters in your graveyard. Or no, 2 Madolche cards, my bad, not monsters, just cards. And then you can shuffle those 2 cards into the deck. Also, after that, you can shuffle 2 cards your opponent controls into their deck up to the number of Madolche cards returned. This is extremely powerful. Being able to remove 2 cards your opponent controls without targeting, without destruction, and shuffling into the deck has to be one of the best form of removal in the game. I don't think I have to tell you just how powerful this effect is, because it is just a ridiculous effect. You really can't dodge it either, because without being targeted, you just don't know what they're going to shuffle back. They're just going to shuffle back whatever you bring out in case you want to dodge something. Tiramisu, it is such a powerful boss monster that I honestly don't see ever coming into Duel Links. Unless the power creep of Duel Links becomes so high, I don't think Tiramisu should ever make it into the game, because of just how easy it is to get 2 level 4 Madolche monsters onto the field with the current support. And if they want to add more Madolche support into Duel Links, they have to be very careful how they do it, because there are, if you have an Angeli in the game, even without Pitting Kusur in the game, in Duel Links, having just 1 Angeli could easily make a Madolche Queen Tiramisu. I just feel like this card should never be into Duel Links. Just spoilers alert, I do not think this ever should make it into Duel Links, unless the power level of the cards are so high that it will warrant to put into the game. So a little bit of spoilers there. Tiramisu is just too powerful of a boss monster. I'm not gonna talk about the link, because we're not gonna have any links. Next, let's talk about the ticket. So Ticket is definitely one of the better cards in the Madolche too, where if one of your Madolche monsters were to send added back into the deck, from the graveyard into the deck, you get to add a Madolche monster from your deck to your hand, or if you control a fairy type Madolche monster, you get to special summon that card instead. Very, really good effect. It helps with just summoning more monsters, like this is a combo deck. You want to just spam the board with a bunch of cards and combo off, and just have, build this board. So Madolche Ticket help at not only giving you a next turn, but it also helps at summoning more monsters onto the field if you control a fairy type Madolche monster on the field. Next, we're going to talk about Madolche Salon, which is definitely the newer Madolche card in the game. Madolche Salon fixes a lot of the issues the Madolche monster was struggling with, because back in the day, a lot of Madolche decks were playing cards like Double Summon. Being able to normal summon twice is very powerful, and even cards like Madolche Palooza, which is right here, that allows them to just summon all your monsters into the field. Because the biggest issue with Madolche is that they had the combos, they had the plays, they just did not have enough ways to summon them onto the field to get the combo started. There are decks that you require like 1 or 2 on the field to then go off from there. And Madolche Salon, what it does is it allows you to have an additional normal summon if you were to normal summon a Madolche monster. So that already fixes the issue of running double summon. You could just normal summon, and get more plays off that way. And then once per turn, if a Madolche monster card you control or is in your graveyard gets added to your hand or shuffle into the main deck by a card effect, you get to then set one Madolche Spell Trap directly from the deck except Salon. And that is also extremely powerful because when Madolche Salon came out, there were already very good trap cards that we're going to talk about that you can possibly set with Salon, or if you wanted to, you can set like a Ticket or a Chateau in order for you to get some more combo going. You know, like Salon really fixes essentially almost all the issues that Madolche deck currently have. But yes, Salon is another really powerful spell card. Next we have Madolche Chateau, which is their field spell that has the simple effect that all your Madolche monster gain 500 attack and 500 defense. But then it has that even powerful effect that when this card is activated, you get to shuffle all Madolche monsters from the graveyard into the deck. That is very strong because there are cards that trigger when that happens. You know, cards like Madolche Ticket. You're able to recycle your, you're able to get cards back into the deck to then special summon one onto the field, or you get to add one into your hand. But also, it allows you to recycle your XYZ monsters. There might be times or duels where you might, you know, grind the game a bit, and you just don't have enough resources, so then you activate Chateau, cycle all those cards back into the graveyard, including the extra deck monsters, to then continue your plays. So very strong, being able to shuffle them all when it's activated. Also, be very careful in case your combos are not done yet, and you still need monsters in your graveyard, because otherwise this card would just get rid of all of them. Like, it's really funny when that happens, but usually Madolche players know when to activate Chateau. And for the final effect, which is also really powerful, is if a monster in your graveyard will be returned to the deck by a card effect of a Madolche monster, you get to add that card to your hand instead. So this card essentially never makes you go minus. In fact, I think it makes you go super plus by being able to, you know, shuffle one card back into the deck, or you could just add it to your hand instead. Like, that is very powerful, really good. You're able to add essentially anything you want to, you know, not just like, because it specifies monsters, not Madolche monsters. So if there's anything in your graveyard you want to add to your deck, you just add it to your hand instead. So really good card, very powerful. Normally you play one of in a deck just because it's searchable. But now let's talk about the traps. And all these traps are, to my opinion, not worth running like at all, except for one in particular, and that is also a new card called Madolche Promenade. Madolche Promenade has the effect that you can target one face-up card your opponent control and one Madolche monster you control or is in your graveyard. You can negate the effects of that monster card until the end of the turn, and if you do, you can return your monster to your hand. And then it has a graveyard effect where you can banish this card from the graveyard to then target one Madolche XYZ monster you control to attach a Madolche monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard as material. So, and then you can only use, you know, one effect, you know, once and only once that turn. So you're gonna use both. You can only use one for that turn. So why Madolche Promenade is so strong? Well, the fact that it allows you to negate a monster effect is already good. But also being able to banish and then attach a material to an XC monster, you can essentially easily attach a pudding cess to any of your ranks, so then you're able to utilize the effect of Chocolate Auto mode. That's probably the main reason you want to ever use a Madolche, Promenade, just for that second effect, just so you can get into auto mode and then get more combos going. But just being able to negate a monster effect on the field is, in my opinion, powerful enough to warrant play, especially when it's a searchable card and you're able to set it onto the field with the effect with Madolche alone. So, those are all of the important Madolche monsters I really want to talk about. And now I want to talk about two different versions of the Madolche deck. I composed two decks. A Madolche 2021 version of the deck that is, you know, more relevant for the current meta, and a Madolche 2016 deck. The reason why I'm doing it for this particular archetype is for two reasons. One, Madolche were a really old archetype that, you know, were first released back in 2013 in the XYZ era. And or since 2012. It might have been 2012 actually. But regardless, and they had to play a various of different cards in order to get their combos off. And I did think it's good for me to show you guys like an older version of the deck, how it used to look compared to what it actually ended up becoming now in 2021, thanks to the two additional cards we ended up getting for the archetype. And I'm just gonna make this a little quicker than all my other videos because I do want to showcase not only this, but also a version of the deck that I would think would look if all of the cards were added into Duel Links. So, let's go ahead and get started with this 2016 version of Madolche. So, for this 2016 version of Madolche, we are playing a card named Brilliant Fusion, because Brilliant Fusion allows you to summon a card like Seraphinite, which gives the deck an additional normal summon. And like I was mentioning before, people play double summon in this deck for the longest time because being able to normal summon twice was just so essential. And having a card like Brilliant Fusion easily gets your Seraphinite onto the field, so then you can normal summon multiple times with your Madolche Monsters. And the whole purpose of this deck is literally just to make a board that consists of like Rafflesia going first with like maybe an Abyss Dweller, or going second, create a bunch of ranked monsters and a tiramisu in order to OTK your opponent. So, just go ahead and get started here with a bit of a combo like starter here. We're just going to show you kind of like how the deck played. So this hand is actually awful. We're just going to restart to probably a better hand. Oh, this is also awful. Like 2016 Yugioh, everyone. But this card's a little better. Definitely not the best combo starter, but essentially, like I was going to talk about earlier, you know, Angeli is a one card combo. In the newer version of the deck, like in 2021 in Modern Yu-Gi-Oh. But right now, it's not really a one-card combo. Essentially, all you can do is go into Madolche Hoodcake, activate the effect to banish the Angeli, to then summon any one of your Madolche from the graveyard. At this point, there really isn't much worth it because of my hand, how I opened with. Then I'm just gonna go into like Messenger Lotto, and again, effect to search a spell. And most of the time, because this older version of the Madolche, you only ever go into Chattel or Ticket. That's the only two options you actually have for the deck. So go ahead and restart one more time. Let's see if we get something better. Oh, opening the Garnet with the Fusion is not good. This hand is actually garbage. But yeah, like the Madolche had that bit of an issue back in the day too, where you could just find cards or hands that you just simply break on. Like it was very hard to play around all the consistency the deck had. And this is kind of how Duel Links currently is with the Madolche archetype. But no, we're gonna go into this, go into our Angeli. Doesn't really matter what I'm Angeling, but because we open a Instant Fusion, we're at least able to go into a rank 4 to pass a turn on. Because Instant Fusion is another powerful card the deck had because it just wanted so many extenders. This deck really wanted a bunch of extenders. So yeah, we just do that, set this card, and pass the turn going first. Let's see if we could actually get a hand that has a combo, so I could kind of show you guys exactly what I mean. Go ahead and restart one more time. Okay, this card actually has a bit of a combo, so I'm going to show you exactly what I mean with a normal summon. So first we're going to activate Brilliant Fusion, able to summon the Seraphinite by sending to the graveyard our Trick Clown and our Garnet to then summon that defense position, to then activate the effect of our Trick Clown, to then special summon it by paying just 1,000 life points. And now we could get the combo started. So, for this one, we're going to normal summon with the effect of Seraphinite. There we go. Activate the effect. Then go into our Hoodcake from the deck. Activate the effect once again. We're going to go ahead and banish the Angela because that's actually important. To go into, let's see, for this instance, let's go into Message Lotto. I think that'll work well. Would then give us access into one of our spell cards. And in this case, let's go ahead and do Ticket. So now here we could either normal summon one more time or go into some ranks. Because we have access to essentially all of our rank 4 engine at the current moment. Or we could go into a rank 3 and then summon our Angeli with our Levenier Dragon, which is also another important combo card for the deck. Or we could go into Invoker, which actually could be very important as well. But for this instant, we're just going to normal summon our boy. Let's go ahead and activate this. And let's go ahead and special summon a Rafflesia. We'll do that. And set the Book of Moon. And there we go. That's pretty much like a bit of a board we can set up with this Madolche deck. Here's more. We can easily actually have a lot of extenders here. So we're going to do just that. Because the most important part about the deck is having level 3 extenders. And you'll see here now actually what I mean, because I actually have the combo for it. So first things first, we're going to, let's see here. Yeah, we'll do that. We're going to activate the Instant Fusion, summon this card named Norden, onto the field. To then special summon the Angeli that we just tributed onto the field. There we go. And then we're going to special summon one of these bad boys. Let's just go ahead and do a simple one. We could go Reflation now, but that wouldn't work. But we're gonna go into an Abyss Dweller, just so we can activate the effect and get our Madolche Angeli back into the graveyard. Next, we're going to special summon our Striker to then activate our Hood Kicks effect. To banish, to then special summon the Mesogelato. Activate the effect. We're going to go ahead and grab our ticket. Oh yeah, we opened with Garnet. That kind of sucks. Activate the ticket, and then we can go into our 11 years dragon because we are never able to go into the sea dragon here. Activate the effect. Detach either one of them two. Doesn't really matter. Go into Angeli. Special summon her, and then we could go into a rank 4 right here. If you go in second, you go into Tiramisu, but if you go in first, we're gonna go into a Reflecia. And now, if you see this board, you were able to set up an Abyss Dweller and a Reflecia going first. Going second, we will obviously go into Tiramisu to break our opponent's board. So that's all I kind of wanted to show you about the 2016 version of the deck. As you can tell, it wasn't the strongest, it breaks a lot, but because it needed so many extenders just to get the place off. And I wouldn't mind seeing a deck like this in Duel because I think it will be fair enough, but we would require to have an Angeli into the deck. Now let's talk about the 2021 version of the deck and why it is so much powerful, because it actually has one card combos. So let's go ahead and get started with some test hands. Oh wait, we need to change our master rules to master rules. There we go, 2020. So let's go ahead and do some test hands now. So this hand here, no real turn 1 combo. Let's restart one more time. Alright, here we have a 1 card combo. So I'm just going to show you the 1 card combo first, and then I'll show you like some extender combos. So first, we have Angeli on the field. We're going to go ahead and tribute her to go ahead and grab our Hood Kick. There's our Hood Kick. Summon our Hood Kick. To then activate the effect of the Hood Kick. To then banish that. To special summon the new girl in town, the Pitting Susurr, onto the board. To then activate her effect to summon a Pudding Sis. I'm going to summon the one from our hand because sadly we ended up opening her. There's that on there, and now we're going to special summon our Glassifew using the Pudding Sis and our Glassifur, or not Glassifur, whatever her name is. What's her name again? Pitting Susurr. Yeah, there we go. Now we're going to activate Glassifew to detach Pudding Susurr, not the Pudding Sis, that's an important one to have, attached to the card. To then go into our Chocolate a la Mode. Chocolate a la Mode would now activate the effect by targeting this one in the graveyard, and then we're going to activate her effect by detaching her to then special summon a monster from the deck. And at this point, we could either do a 3, we can do a 4. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. We're going to go ahead and do. Oh, I misclicked. That should have been in an attack position, so then we couldn't search a card. But regardless, that's pretty much the 1 card combo. And then whatever you have in your hand, you could be able to set. So we'll go ahead and restart and see if we can actually have a playable hand. And here it's pretty simple. We could just activate the Pudding Susurr in our hand to special summon, to then activate the effect, to add or to special summon a Pudding Sis from the deck. And then from here, we are able to kind of essentially do the exact same combo as we ended up doing. We're going to go into Glassifur, activate her effect, detach, to target, to then special summon our Chocolate a la Mode, to then activate her effect, to target that to jump onto the deck, to then activate her effect with that triggered by detaching the Glassifur, to then special summoning a monster onto the board. And at this point we could pretty much do anything. I mean, I have the Angeli in the hand already, but let's go ahead and do Hood Kick. Nah, I mean, we could easily do a Hood Kick, it's fine. Because then we can activate Hood Kick's effect to then banish that one. To special summon one from the deck. We're going to do our homeboy, Mesogelato. Activate his effect to then add a spell or trap. We're going to probably get Salon. Activate Salon. We got an additional normal summon now. Woo, we got a lot of normal summons. We're going to normal summon. Activate the effect. Special summon another Mesogelato. which then activates his effect, because he's not a hard once per turn as long as you have a beast Madolche monster onto the field. And now we can pretty much do whatever we want to here. We can add another trap, or we can add like Ticket, or even Chattel. Let's just do a Chattel for this one. We're going to normal summon this one. Then we're going to special summon another Madolche one. Let's go get another Glass of Fur. We'll attach this too. And we could even special summon the Link if you really wanted to. There we go. Honestly, you probably should have actually set them, but whatever. Not a big deal. Going to activate that. Shuffle all of them back into the deck. That would trigger. Oh wait, I could have triggered had to. Oh, whatever. And then we could go ahead and set a Promenade for a disruption for my opponent's turn. And I did mess up the combo here, but essentially you can understand what's going on here. You get to summon a bunch of monsters, you get a lot of special summon, and you're going to rely on your Promenades for disruption, as well as whatever other cards you ended up drawing for the turn. So that's more of a 2021 version of the deck. And now let's talk about the part of the video I actually really enjoy, and that is how would Madolches look if all of their support were implemented into Duel Links right now. And I do think a deck like this could actually work in Duel Links very, very well. Because, whatchamacallit? A card like Tiramisu being so powerful, you don't not want to not play this card. This card is so strong, to be honest. Like, and it should never be in Duel Links already. Like, it never should be in Duel Links. But I did manage to, boil up a deck profile here that what I think would look if the Madolche deck were implemented into Duel Links. And to be honest, I don't think it'll be looking that much different from the actual TCG, because all the combos are still relatively the same. Like, looking at this hand is already extremely powerful. Being able to open our Salon, normal summoning our one Magellan into the deck, allow us to special or add a card from the deck. At this point, we're just going to add maybe an Angelin might not be that bad right now, or yeah, let me think. No, I think Pitting to Sur might still be better right now. Yeah, let's go Pitting to Sur. Because we're going to activate her effect, special summon her onto the board, then allow us to special summon one from the deck, and we're going to do our one-off Pudding Cess. And then we're going to go into our Madolche combo. So because this version of the deck, because we're in Duel Links, it would be very difficult to actually combo off very, very hard, which is why I think it'll be a little more balanced in Duel Links. But honestly, as long as Tiramisu is not in the game, it's definitely going to be an okay deck, because it doesn't really create that much of a hard advantage. Mine is just a search for a negate. So we're going to activate her effect. We're going to detach this one. So then we're going to special summon a monster. Let's go ahead and do, I don't know, maybe another Magellan. There we go. Then we're going to set one of our traps. So now if you look at this hand that we have here, because we open another Promenade, we're just able to have 2 disruptions during our opponent's turn, but we won't be able to have anything else onto the field except for maybe just a Tiramisu. So yeah, this is definitely a strong board, because you do end up going +2, but a lot of decks already kind of do that in Duel Links. Let's just go do one more hand to showcase a bit of a combo again. So this is actually very powerful, because we can just normal summon our Mewfili, activate the effect to special summon our Gelato. But because we're in Duel Links, as you can tell, we don't have that much space anymore. We actually kind of lock ourselves pretty hard here. So we're going to go into Salon to activate, to normal summon our Hood Cake, there we go. Then go into a rank. Let's go into Levinier for this one. And then we're going to activate this one's effect to special summon her. We won't be able to go into anything else here, but we can at the very least go into one of our rank monsters. Like we could even end on an Abyss Dweller if we really wanted to. Weak board, but that's just kind of what ended up happening for me, starting with the wrong cards in hand. But as a one-card combo, if it was to be added into Duel Links, I'm actually kind of happy I drew this. Having just Angeli could easily extend a lot of cards in here, because we can go into Hood Cake, activate the effect of Hood Cake, banishing the Madolche, going into our Pudding Cessor, activating her effect, summoning a, there we go, Pudding Cess, and then going into our combo like we ended up how we doing it for this video. So we're going to activate Glass of First Effect, detaching that one, targeting doesn't matter, probably Hood Cake, and then special summoning Chocolate a la Mode on top of that to then activate her effect. To target that, shuffle it into the deck, to then activating Chocolate Modus effect by detaching Glacifer. Then special summon one from the deck, most likely Messenger Lotto right here. Because now Messenger Lotto will get us an effect to search a card. And we're most likely going to do Salon for this one, or even Paramadon, whichever one you guys feel like going for. I'm going to go Salon, just because I have Chateo in hand. That way I'm able to activate Salon, activate Chateo, gain a buff on my attacks, and oh wait, that didn't trigger. Never mind. I thought it would trigger, but it did not trigger. I would have searched a trap card instead then. But regardless, as you can tell, we're able to go into this big board with just one card, with just a single Angeli, and it's very, very powerful. We essentially went +3 with just Angeli. And if all these cards were added into Duel Links, this is probably something that you will see happening a lot. But because the zones are locked to only 3 monster zones, they won't be able to combo off nearly as hard. And because a lot of the turn 1 combo only ends on like a single negate, it's not going to be the strongest strategy going first. But where they will shine will be on a going second strategy if we were to add Tiramisu into the game. If Tiramisu was not added in Duel Links, this deck would 100% be fine, to be honest. Like right now, and I was talking to you guys and you've seen the combos, you might think it's a little crazy to have so much consistency in a deck. But I honestly think if any cards were to be added into Duel Links from the Madolche archetype, honestly, I think they all could realistically make it in and not have like this outrageous impact as long as Tiramisu is not added into the game. Every single card here is fair game in my opinion, because they lock you into Madolche Monsters and all you really get is a single negate. And if you open with, you know, multiple negates and whatever, you know, you just open with multiple negates. But being able to have a 1-card combo is strong, I will admit to that. It is very, very powerful. But the board you can make with just the 1 card is not, in my opinion, the greatest. Because here, I'm going to literally just do 1-card combo with just this. Wait, exit, test hand again, don't shuffle. There we go. We're literally only gonna do a single card combo right here, because being able to just normal summon her, and just look at the end board here with this card. I just think it doesn't warrant, you know, getting like, what's the word I'm looking for, like not adding all the cards except for Tiramisu. And now we're going to summon our Bidding Sister, activate her effect, summoning a Princess to go into our Chest of Flare, to then activate her effect to detach, target the Hood Kick, that's probably the better target, to then special summon into a Chocolate a la Mode, to then activate her effect, targeting that one, shuffle into the deck, to then that triggers her effect, to then detach this one. If we summon a monster, we're gonna go into Messenger Lotto for this one, to then activate his effect to add a trap. And we're going to add a Protomodon. So yes, I do think this board is definitely crazy, because we essentially went a 1-card +3 with a Protomodon, a negate for your opponent's monster. But this board, you really needed to make it with locking yourself into Madolche Monsters. And being only restricted to the Madolche Monsters, in my opinion, is very, very weak. You want to be able to have a combo like goes that far and that big. You want to enter like multiple cards like still like Roach or even Abyss Dweller. Like you want to actually have more competent combos. And as again, I'm just gonna keep bringing this up because it is so important to note that if Tiramisu was not added into Duel Links, every single card could easily fit into the game without breaking the game at all. Again, having a 1-card +3 on Angel is strong. Locking yourself from anything but Madolches really hurts what the deck could possibly do if it were to be added into Duel Links. But in any case, I do hope you guys enjoyed this rant discussion that I love to do. And I hope my points were fair and straight to the point and what I wanted to say. And again, I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, share the video, comment below so I'm able to grow as a channel, as a content creator. And I'm hoping in the future I'm able to create better content for my viewers, because I am looking to improve. I am looking to get better at this. So again, I do hope you guys enjoy, and let me know, do you think the Madolche archetype is good enough to be added into Duel Links? Yes? No? Maybe? What card would you left out? What card would you left in? Tell me that in the comment section below, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Take care.